Hello Tigers, and welcome to the TMNtv Newscast for Wednesday, January 23, 2019. Stay tuned for the latest news at Fort Hays State University and around Northwest Kansas and the nation. I am Lauren Davis, and Jenna Hawley will be here shortly with a look at what's going on around the globe. And Haley White will fill you in on what's happening in the sports world. But first, here's what's making news in Tigerland. A winter storm system made its way through Kansas Tuesday, creating high winds, freezing temperatures, and below zero wind chill. While snow amounts were limited in the Hays area, blowing snow due to the high winds made travel treacherous at times. In northeast Kansas, more freezing rain and snow hit, causing significant travel issues and canceling some schools. The icy conditions were to blame for the fatal wreck of a 19-year-old FHSU student Tuesday. Ashlyn Lemon was driving west on Interstate 70 when she lost control of the vehicle she was driving and entered the median before striking a guardrail. The accident happened 2 miles west of Junction City. It was the only fatal accident on roads in the state Tuesday. Kansas former Secretary of State Chris Kobach recently finished his court-ordered continuing education at the expense of state funds. Kobach was ordered by a federal judge to complete 6 hours of civil trial basics for his performance in a voter rights trial last year. It was learned earlier this week that Kobach's office paid the $359 for the audio version of the class through office funds. The former Secretary of State, who lost to Laura Kelly in the 2018 governor's race, also previously paid $1,000 for misleading the federal court with a state-issued card left by an employee who was deployed overseas. Laura Kelly took the oath of office to become Kansas's 48th governor last week. The Democrat takes over the office by former Governor Jeff Colyer, who was defeated by Kobach in the 2018 Republican primary. Kobach then lost to Kelly in the November general election. Kelly has stated public school funding will be one of her top concerns to address during her first year in the office. She also plans to look at sentencing guidelines for criminals to help with prison overcrowding in the state. Ford County was thrust into the national spotlight in November after the ACLU said the county in southwest Kansas had inadequate polling locations. Due to renovations at the former polling site, the county went to another polling location just outside city limits to handle the number of voters expected. The ACLU claimed the move disenfranchised Hispanic voters in the city. The Hispanic population makes up more than half of Dodge City's population. On Tuesday of this week, the county said it would open 2 polling locations in the future. The county has had to pay approximately $70,000 so far to fight a lawsuit by the ACLU, which said the 2 new polling sites were a step in the right direction. FHSU and Northwest Kansas Technical College in Goodland recently signed articulation agreements between the 2 schools. 5 concentrations for a Bachelor of Science in Health Studies and 2 more for a Bachelor's in Technology Leadership are covered. The agreement will help with the transition of students from the tech school to FHSU and will honor course credit under the approved programs. Hays' newest training location opened in early January. Premier Indoor Training is located only 2 miles south of town on Main Street. The center has options for baseball and softball players, basketball players, as well as volleyball, cheerleading, and dance. The large facility features ample space for many activities and has available online options to see when space is available. The facility is a way for athletes to improve their skills in a climate-controlled environment. For more information about the pit, find Premier Indoor Training Center on Facebook. When we return from this short break, Jenna will be here with news from around the globe.
I think there's a perception out there that web and mobile application development is this field where you sit behind a computer all day and code. And that's not it at all, right? And there's even a perception out there that geek is bad. But I think students should embrace their inner geek. We don't code all day. We look at issues, we look at problems, and try to figure out the pieces of the puzzle and how to put them together to build things.
I was able to learn JavaScript, HTML, CSS, PHP, just kind of the whole 9 yards with that. So I really enjoyed the full program that they offered here.
anything that you're interested in, the field of web and mobile application development, there's a value to. There's nothing like what we have in the informatics department. If you choose to take everything in the buffet that we offer, you'll be very well prepared for any type of job opportunity that's out there.
Hello Tigers, I'm Jenna Hawley and here's what's going on around the globe. The latest proposal by President Donald Trump over a border wall was rejected by Democrats this weekend. The proposal included $5.7 billion for funding of the wall, as well as extending temporary protections to immigrants. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has announced her opposition and called the president's latest proposal a non-starter. According to CNN, the vote in the Senate will most likely not get the required 60 votes in support from Democrats. The House is expected to vote on a package of 6 spending bills that would reopen most federal agencies impacted by the government shutdown. This would include roughly a $1 billion border security-related funding unrelated to Trump's demanded border wall. President Trump has responded to Friday's controversy that took place at the base of the Lincoln Memorial involving 3 groups. Accounts differ as to what really happened, as the video was recorded at the event and has gone viral since. In the video, high school student Nick Sandman is seen standing in front of Native American veteran Nathan Phillips as he played a traditional chant on a drum. Sandman is shown to be wearing a red "Make America Great Again" hat, while a crowd of other teenagers were laughing behind him. In a completely separate video, members of a group called the Black Hebrew Israelites taunted everyone present at the memorial. I would caution everyone passing judgment based on a few seconds of a video to watch the longer video clips that are on the internet, as they show a much different story than is being portrayed by people with agendas, Sandman said in a statement Sunday. According to CBS News, Phillips and Sandman locked eyes and said their goal was to simply make sure things don't get out of hand. The encounter was still caught on video and went viral. The Supreme Court allowed the Trump administration to go ahead with its plan to ban transgender military service for now. The court granted a request from the Justice Department to allow the government to enforce the ban. In July 2017, President Trump announced he would end a policy that allows transgender men and women to serve openly and to have the government pay for sex reassignment surgery. The policy began during the Obama administration. 6 months later, then Defense Secretary James Mattis announced a revised policy that allowed transgender individuals to serve in the military provided they serve in their biological sex and did not seek gender transition surgery. According to NBC News, federal district court judges in California, Washington, D.C., and Washington State issued orders blocking the policy nationwide. They said it most likely amounted to the unconstitutional discrimination. The Justice Department went to the Supreme Court in November to urge taking up the issue. A month later, as a fallback, the government asked the court to narrow the effect of the lower court rulings so that they applied only to those who sued and not to the entire country. Officials have confirmed at least 43 people were killed and 54 injured during an attack on Monday. Taliban militants attacked the National Directorate for Security base in central Wardak province. The attack came hours before another round of peace talks between the Taliban and U.S. diplomats in Quetta. According to BBC, the militants smashed their way in by detonating a captured Humvee packaged with explosives. The Taliban emerged in the early 1990s and ruled Afghanistan from 1996 to 2001. Their power and reach surged after foreign combat troops left Afghanistan in 2014. U.S. combat operations against them ceased that year. The U.S. carried out a sustained air bombing campaign. President Trump plans to withdraw thousands of troops within months as part of a plan that emerged late last year. U.S. officials and Taliban representatives have met several times since last summer. A former U.S. Marine detained in Moscow was given a flash drive containing a state secret, according to his lawyer on Tuesday. Paul Whelan was arrested by Russian security services late last month. He was charged with espionage. His lawyer told reporters how he got the flash drive, what he was supposed to do with it, whether Whelan knew that he had secret information is unknown. According to the Washington Post, Whelan's lawyer said he was a frequent visitor to Russia over the past decade. Whelan had asked an acquaintance for a flash drive containing pictures and videos from a previous trip he took to the country. The Russian court refused to release him on bail. He will remain behind bars through the end of February. President Donald Trump is looking to strike a trade agreement this year with China as he's looking for re-election in 2020. The president has been at odds with China over tariffs. This has brought a rift between the two countries. Since the start of his presidency, Trump has put tariffs on $250 billion in Chinese goods. As a response, the country has placed tariffs on $110 billion worth of U.S. goods. Many investors have been wondering how this will impact businesses. CEO of ABN told CNBC at the World Economic Forum, "Looking at the U.S., I think Mr. Trump wants to be re-elected next year, so I think he will strike a deal somewhere down the road this year." 2 deaths have been confirmed in Colorado and New Mexico in separate avalanches. Authorities confirmed a man's death on Monday. The Pitkin County Sheriff's Office said the man had been trapped in the avalanche near the Markley Hut, a boarding facility south of Aspen. The man was part of a group of 6 skiers who were caught in the avalanche at about 10:20 a.m. Relatives of the second man confirmed his death on Monday. Corey Borg Masserini had been in critical condition in the University of New Mexico Hospital since the avalanche on Thursday. That's what is happening in the news world this week. Stay tuned for a sports update with Haley White when we return.
The Tiger Media Network is Fort Hays State University's independent student media organization. It's a student employment opportunity where you can work for either the news side or the sports side. So you can be on live sports production, which produces all of the live sports broadcasts that we do, or you could be on the news side and do news stories covering things on campus. So presidential announcements, Student Government Association. We bring that news to the student community and the Hays community as well.
You don't realize how much Fort Hays State has to offer until you're here.
I mean, it is definitely, this is the land of opportunity here.
I just got back from the MIAA tournament in Kansas City a couple weeks ago where we worked with other production crews including Pitt State and Central Missouri. And it's a great time. I've gone there the last couple of years.
For me anyway, I get to do sports, which is what I love. And if live productions is where that's at.
This is the perfect place to do it. We have almost everything that you could possibly imagine.
Tiger Media Network allows you the opportunity to take the skills you've learned and put them forward in a real world, real application setting that allows you to flourish and grow as a professional, and that will only help you and benefit you when you graduate and go into the real world workforce.
Hello Tigers, I'm Haley White giving you a sports update. Fort Hays men's basketball sits in a tie for 3rd place in MIAA standings after falling to Washburn 80-73 on the road Saturday, which snapped the Tigers' win streak. The men were coming off an impressive win in Emporia last week, where the team found success behind the arc, finishing with 17 three-pointers, going on to beat the Hornets 82-71 inside of White Stadium on Thursday. The Tigers had trouble finding similar success on offense Saturday as Fort Hays turnovers sealed the team's fate late in the second half, which enabled the Ichabods to remain perfect on their home floor so far this season. FHSU women's basketball returned to the top of the conference standings after defeating Washburn 59-51 during Saturday's contest on the road. Forward Tatiana Leggett was a crucial piece in the team's victory as the senior capped the 1,000-point mark in her career at Fort Hays. Leggett finished the night scoring in double figures along with 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals. The men and women will resume play at home this week with the MIAA matchup against Missouri Western Thursday inside Gross Memorial Coliseum. The women are set to tip off at 5:30, followed by the men at 7:30. Fort Hays men's track collected 2 provisionals and first place finishes at Maryville this weekend as the Tigers competed in the Northwest Open hosted by Northwest Missouri State. Brett Meyer finished first in the 800 alongside earning a provisional as he finished in nearly a minute and 52 seconds. Also earning a provisional for the Tigers was high jumper Colt Newell, where he earned first place with a jump of 6 feet 8 3/4 inches. For the women, high jumper Summer Craigle finished in first place with her mark of 5 feet 3 3/4 inches. Marina Goncalves claimed first place in the 5,000 meter race with a time of 17 minutes and 43 seconds. The Tigers are back in action Saturday as they travel to compete at Pittsburgh State. 2 Fort Hays wrestlers competed in the Roger Denker Open hosted by Central Missouri Sunday, and both Tigers placed. Isaiah Llewellyn came out on top of the 165-pound bracket, where he moved to 19-3 on the season. Reese Coakley finished in a tie for 5th place in the 141-pound class due to a medical forfeit from both wrestlers. The sophomore is coming off a 3rd place finish during the Kansas Cup in Hays last week. The Kansas City Chiefs suffered a devastating loss in overtime to New England at Arrowhead during the AFC Championship on Sunday. Although the Patriots had control most of the game, the Chiefs quickly got themselves back in the game during the final quarter of play, where they were 4 lead changes before Kansas City drove the ball down and completed a field goal to send the game into overtime with a pair of 31s on the scoreboard. New England won the coin toss and received the kickoff in OT, where Tom Brady and the Patriots drove the ball down to earn the game-ending touchdown. The Patriots will go on to face the NFC champs LA Rams in Super Bowl 53 in hopes of the franchise collecting its 6th NFL championship. That concludes this episode. Tune in next week for another episode of TMNtv. To stay up to date on the latest news and information throughout the week, visit tigermedianet.com. Until then, remember, roar Tigers!